Hello everyone, and welcome to our second episode of Take 10 on Tuesdays with the Tennessee Tribune. This week we're interviewing Kimberly Goins, a very interesting person here in the Nashville area. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Right. We are sitting down today with Kimberly Goins, and she's going to tell us about her interesting story. So we hope you enjoy. Thank you.
All right, Kimberly, what got you interested in law?
Well, it's one of those things I honestly knew for years, even ever since elementary school. I actually was one of those people that always knew I wanted to go to law school. And a lot of it just had to do with, early on when I was a little bit younger, people used to say, oh, she likes to argue, she should go to law school. So kind of simple reasons when I was younger. But as I got older, even when I got into high school and college, it just was something that still stuck with me. So even when I decided, even when I got to college, my majors that I picked were ones that I felt would be applicable if I decided to go to law school.
Okay, now you did something that sounds to me impossible and it's definitely incredible, which is you got a joint degree. You got a master's and a law degree at the same time. Now, how did you one day you take classes for law school, the next day you take classes for poli-sci, you take classes for both of them on the same days, or how did you do that?
Actually, it was all of those things that you just said, actually, because when I first applied to law school, I was familiar with the joint degree program, that they had established a joint degree program with the law degree and master's in political science. No one had yet done it though. But when I first applied to law school, I just applied to law school. And so I completed my first year and my second year, but then my second year of law school, I decided I wanted to go ahead and go for the joint degree. So that year I applied for the master's program in political science. And so since I'd already completed 2 years of law school, my third year I did nothing but political science classes. And then I had a fourth year during which I took law classes and political science classes.
Okay, now you say at the end of the second year, what happened in the second year to make you want to pursue that?
Well, political science was something I really, really enjoyed during undergrad. Like I knew, part of the reason I majored in it was because I knew I wanted to go to law school, but I also liked the subject itself. I just really, really love political science. And so I just decided that I really had nothing to lose by going for the joint degree, because the way it works, instead of doing a master's separately and doing 2 years for that, you combine it with the law degree. You're doing both degrees at the same time, and so you're able to do those 2 degrees in 4 years, whereas separately that would be 5 years. And so I figured I really didn't have anything to lose, even though it was an extra year. Obviously,
right.
In the end, I felt that it was worth it. It gave me a more broad experience with law school and grad school, and it ended up just really being a positive experience all around.
Okay, now why did you decide to go take the bar in New York? I would assume you could take it in Alabama.
Yeah, you can take it in any state, definitely. Okay. But for me, I wasn't sure where I was going to live after I graduated, but I knew I didn't want to stay in the state of Alabama. And it wasn't that I had a problem with Alabama, but I had always lived there my entire life. Knew I wanted to go somewhere else and maybe come back in the future and possibly do some positive things there. But I knew I wanted to go somewhere else. And I just kept feeling led to take the New York bar. And what was funny about it, was interesting, is most of the people I knew, including some of my law professors, did not recommend taking that bar at all.
It's supposed to be one of the toughest in the country, if not the toughest.
Yeah, it's considered, I would say, the second hardest. The first hardest is California.
Okay.
And so they really did not recommend taking it. They were like, you should take the Alabama bar just to be on the safe side. And so what I did, I just really prayed about it, thought about it, and I looked at it like this. I was like, okay, any bar exam is going to be difficult, no matter which one you take. And so I thought about it. I said, I don't know. I was like, I know that I don't necessarily want to stay in Alabama. I was like, I don't have a job here in Alabama yet. I don't have a job in New York yet either. It's kind of the same situation, but I felt that even though initially the cost might be higher to take the New York bar, and that you got to fly out there, get a hotel, all that kind of stuff, but I felt it would pay off in the end, because it's a very well-respected bar, like throughout the country and throughout the world. So after a lot of reflection and prayer, I just went for it, and luckily things turned out well and I passed it.
Now, did you do any additional prep for the New York bar?
Oh, absolutely. That's pretty much it. Definitely a given with any of the bar exams. I took one of the bar review courses. I took bar review, and I did it, I graduated law school in May, And then as soon as I graduated, I started my bar prep course. And I did it, I was still in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I was working 2 jobs that summer, and then at the same time I was doing my bar review course, and I was doing that online.
Okay.
And that was probably 5-6 weeks or so, something like that. And then finished the bar review course and took the New York bar.
Okay, so you can, if you choose to do so, practice in the state of New York?
Yes.
Okay, okay. What did you do after you passed the bar?
After I passed the bar, well, at the time I was still in Alabama, and I was doing some jobs that I had done while I was still in law school, doing a tutoring job I had done, and doing some working for a law clinic. So went ahead, after I took the bar, I went ahead and moved from Tuscaloosa and went back to my hometown Mobile briefly, and then ended up moving to Atlanta for a few months. And while I was there, I actually ended up doing a pretty interesting law opportunity where I got a job with a law firm that was in Athens, Alabama, but I was able to do work for them remotely as a researcher. So I was in Atlanta, but they were in Athens, Alabama, and I worked for them from September of that year, September 2011, so February 2012.
Okay, all right. And then this past year, you've been doing some interesting things, right?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of everything. I came initially I came here to Nashville, originally teaching with Teach for America. That's how I made my journey here to Nashville.
Okay, now what is Teaching America?
Teach for America.
Teach for America, okay. What is that?
It's a kind of well, I don't want to say nonprofit, but it's an organization through which you teach for 2 years in like a lower income or what's considered maybe an underprivileged school. And generally you do it for 2 years. And at the time when you apply for the program, you don't necessarily know what state you're going to be living in necessarily. So when I applied for the program, I actually thought I would be in New York or Boston or somewhere like that. And just by chance ended up here in Nashville. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
What school were you assigned?
I was teaching at Whites Creek High School, originally teaching criminal justice there.
Criminal justice in Whites Creek. Okay. What was that like? Because you're not, nothing, I don't mean this in any derogatory or pejorative way, but you look like you could be a student at Whites Creek. How was it teaching other students at Whites Creek?
It actually, in all honesty, it was a good experience because they responded really well to me, and part of why I got hired for the position is because of like my law background and so forth. And so I was able to really give students a lot of first-hand experiences. Like for instance, I worked on a capital murder case once, and so I was able to kind of give them first-hand accounts of things. So it was a very positive experience. I was there briefly though, even though I really enjoyed teaching, but I ended up deciding to resign from Teach for America, and just ended up deciding.
How long were you at Whites Creek?
I'm trying to think. Maybe a few months.
Okay.
And so that experience itself, teaching there was a good experience, but I just realized for me personally, Teach for America wasn't the approach I wanted to use to go into some teaching, I should say.
Okay, and then after you left Teach for America, then what did you do?
I've done a little bit of everything. I've done some marketing briefly. Have done so things of that nature. I've done some marketing. Also, I'm always doing law-related work. I have a lot of research experience, so always doing whenever I have research opportunities too. Because a lot of times, even other attorneys don't necessarily like to do research.
Right.
I've held 5 different research positions in my life, so done some things like that too.
For you, what would be the ideal job, assuming that you could just construct a position for yourself?
Well, definitely one thing I learned from teaching, because I really enjoyed teaching and got a lot out of that, but I realized I like a job, whether it's in the law-related profession or whether it's in the teaching profession, but something in which I have some mentorship, which I'm able to learn from others who have, who maybe have more experience and so forth.
Okay. Now, I haven't heard you say and maybe this is not what you're interested in, but I haven't heard you any indicator about setting up your own practice or being at a law firm, or with all of the qualifications that you've gotten. You don't seem very money driven. Now maybe that's just an assumption on my part. You seem to be more interested in things, fulfilling things, not necessarily material things, even though maybe they pay well enough for you to do okay. But would that be accurate to say that you're not materialistic in your approach to employment?
I think so. I think that would be pretty accurate to say. And you know, definitely when I first graduated from law school in 2011, my intention was to actually practice as an attorney, and most likely to do, at that point especially, I was looking for criminal law oriented jobs, criminal defense mainly. The way things have been with the economy, it just was more difficult than it ordinarily is, and so I just kind of taking advantage of whatever opportunity, you know, just continue to develop other skills. That's why I did some teaching, have done some marketing, because I figured you can always continue to develop your skills even more, and then you'll become even more valuable, even more of an asset to whatever firm or whatever job you're hiring.
Would you be interested in teaching at a college? Because you certainly could teach at the college level, and there's plenty of colleges here.
Yeah, actually so. I mean, I interviewed for an adjunct professor position a couple of days ago, and so I think that is something I'm looking into as well. Because like I said, I enjoy teaching. I've always done teaching in some form or fashion. When I was in school, in college and law school, I was always tutoring. I just decided not to do teaching full-time as a high school teacher, not do that necessarily full-time, but definitely as a professor, especially adjunct positions. Definitely, I think it would be more so, because with positions like that, I'm able to do that, and I'm still able to do law-related work as well. And so that's the key. I like to do a lot of different things.
From your perspective, what is the biggest misperception people have about the law?
I would say probably the biggest misperception is that lawyers are just about themselves, and that maybe the world would be better without attorneys, and that they don't necessarily care about helping people or making a difference. Every law-related job I've had, and I've worked a lot of different ones. I've worked for like an elder law clinic, done some criminal law, just done like a lot of different things. All of the clients I've worked with, I really genuinely cared about helping them with whatever the need, whatever the situation was. And some needs might not be important to others, but it's important to that person. And so whether it's a civil matter, like I know one case I was working on was a domestic relation matter, and those are always very cases that definitely have a lot of emotion involved, because it's a lot at stake. And just even reading through the transcript with that, there were a lot of issues with child custody, child support, and this and that. It's very just difficult things going on, and I know it would be very difficult for that family to navigate through those laws and just the whole situation by themselves without an attorney. And so ultimately, I think it's a valuable tool, the law degree and the law profession, and when it's used for the right purposes, which should be to help people.
Well, Kimberly, we want to thank you very much for taking the time with us, and continued success to you in all your future endeavors. And we hope that you'll find something that you really both like and find challenging and rewarding. And we want to thank you.
Thank you so much.